Okay, so there's one thing you have to master in order to be a profitable trader. What is that? You have to reconfigure your state of mind to understand that you will, from now on in trading, think long term and not short term. So, what does that mean? As humans, it's very natural to think very short term because of fear and survival back in the day when we weren't in a modern society. So we had to think right in the moment and we weren't thinking in the future. Now it's a little bit different with modern society, and especially in trading. Trading pretty much tests every natural instinct that you have and says that you should do the opposite. The more work you put in does not mean the more effort, or the more does not mean the more profit. And that's unlike pretty much every other business. So trading is very different. The less you do, the more you get. It's a pretty simple thought process. Now, what does that really mean when it comes to what most traders do? Most traders overtrade because they're thinking, I want to make a certain amount per day, which doesn't make any sense because it's based off what the market shows you, not what you want. You wanting something is already the problem. You must show up to the market, and whatever the market gives you is what it gives you. If it gives you no trades for that day, you don't take any trades. Even if you want to trade, you can't because your setup is not shown. That's thinking long term. And then once your setup is shown, maybe it's only a couple times a week, depending upon what your setup is, what time frame you use. Maybe you have no trades that week. Maybe you have 3 trades that week, 4. It just depends on the market conditions. But what I want to drill into your head is that in order to be profitable, you have to think long term and not short term. And you can't just think it. You have to really reconfigure your brain to understand thinking long term and not short term. You have to think about the month, not the week. You have to think about the year, not the month. And if you want to take it even the shortest, it would be don't think about the day, think about the week, and then you can keep expanding upon that. But if you look at every other business, they go by month to month or quarters. But for some reason in trading, we want to go by the week, which doesn't make much sense. You have to think about how long you want to be in this game. You want to be in the game for only a week? Sure, blow all your money. Blow the whole account. It doesn't matter. But if you want to trade as your income, you first need a good size account. But how do you get a good size account? If you don't just have a lot of money to begin with, and if that is the case, you might just blow it. So how'd you get there? Through not thinking about the money, which is a problem people do. But in trading, you can't do that. You have to think about the process. Process over money. That is just a fact. You have to think about, okay, how am I going to get to the money? I have to do this. I have to follow my strategy. If I don't follow my strategy, what happens? I end up taking way too many trades. I have a bunch of losing trades, and I'm in losses, not profits. So that's pretty key. So this also ties in thinking and probability. Let's say you have a losing week, right? Then next week you can think, what's the chances of me having a profitable week since last week was winning or a loser? At some point, if you have 1 losing week, 2 losing weeks, instead of thinking, am I going to lose again? You can think, oh, okay, I'm probably closer to another winning week again. Because at some point, it's going to reverse if you're following your setup and your edge, if you have an edge. You must have an edge. And same goes for the reverse. If I'm having multiple weeks in a row where they're profitable, then in my head, I'm not going to let that get to me and think, oh, I'm going to have another profitable week. That's thinking short term. In my head, I'm thinking, okay, this is just a couple weeks. That's good, profitable weeks. I know there could be some losing weeks coming. Could be. I'm not going to let that influence my decision on whether I take a trade or not take a trade because it's my setup and I don't know if it's going to win or lose. It's just believing in probability, and then I take the trade. And another thing I do, which I like to do a lot, what I've recently discovered is that if I just take the trade, I just get entered in, right? The stop's set in already. My bracket's already set. Target is set. I will just walk away because my trade setups are taking the bigger momentum days where it continues in that direction for the majority of the session or the entire day. So I just walk away so I don't have to deal with all the bullshit fake out candles. I just walk away because nothing changes if I sit here or if I walk away. So I might as well just go walk away and let it just do its thing in the background. You got to reconfigure your mindset to think long-term scale. Every decision should be long-term, not short-term. When you start thinking short-term, you end up having panic or FOMO, revenge trading, like the market's out to get you. People think that the market's out to get them. That's a pretty ridiculous thought. But it's one that a lot of newer traders definitely experience. It's like you take a trade, and it's like it knows you got in right there, and it goes towards your stop, if you even have a stop. I mean, some guys don't even have a stop. We can just blow the whole account. But that's not what this video is for. This video is for the people that are having trouble with thinking too short-term. Long-term means patience. You have to have patience for your setup. And the longer you trade, and the more you see when your setups come, the market conditions for that, and then the market conditions on the days where your setup is not being shown, then you have more confidence with just waiting. So when you can execute that, you're like, oh, all I had to do was wait and chill and wait for my setup and then just execute. And if I lose, who cares? Because the next one might be a winner, right? I mean, that's how you got to think.